And I believe we are live. Let me see if anybody's in the comments just to make sure people can hear me very quickly. So we'll get started once the chat tells me that they can hear me, because I was actually having some issues with my mic. So we're going to see something really quick just to make sure. If let's see if people in the chat, anybody in the chat, can you guys hear me? Make sure that my mic is on. Anybody in the chat? Audio is good? Okay, perfect. Hey guys, welcome back to another live stream with On Point Politics. This is the third episode of On Point Primetime. Make sure to go ahead and hit the like button, guys. I see a lot of you are in here already. 26 of you guys are in here. Greatly appreciate the support. Everybody that's in here, hit the like button and subscribe, because we're going to be talking about a decent amount of stuff today. We're going to be looking at stuff about Hunter Biden pardoning his son, Hunter. We're going to be looking at Democrats just being in absolute shambles right now. And we're also going to be talking about Mark Zuckerberg possibly teaming up with Trump. There's some speculation about that, and we'll be touching on some other subjects. But guys, hit the like button, subscribe, follow me on X, because as I keep doing more of these, I'm actually going to be going ahead and creating this and kind of having a system where I cover a topic and I have an X space going live in the background. And every time I finish talking about a topic, I'm going to go ahead and kind of move on to a segment where I ask the people that are speakers in the space, hey, what are your thoughts on what I said or what's going on, to kind of get the program to be a little bit more dynamic. And so here we go. So the first topic is going to be Biden pardoning Hunter. So if we go ahead and show this on the screen right now, we will see that right now we have the official statement from President Biden wanting to pardon his son, which he ended up doing on December 1st. So here is the official statement from the president. He said, statement from President Joe Biden. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were paying late on their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back some subsequent. Man, I can't speak today. But basically, those who paid them back with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's case. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he's my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but I also have wrestled with this. I also believe that raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president will come to this decision. And so that's the statement. And we kind of actually have a clip here that's pretty long, but it basically goes through with something that I kind of want to discuss about, because this is really interesting, guys. Really, really interesting stuff here, because Donald Trump has been politically prosecuted this entire time. He's been politically prosecuted the whole time in this case that he's had with the New York courts in Georgia. He's had them at the federal level. He's been politically prosecuted selectively, and Biden didn't have anything to say about that. But now when it's Hunter, of course, he has something to say now. But here's the problem. This is the really, really big issue on the matter. The problem is he told the American people for months that he wouldn't pardon Hunter under any circumstances. And now you have a bunch of Democrats who are using this as a wedge to have the moral high ground on the Trump cases. And now they look like a bunch of idiots. So we're going to be playing the clip of all the media basically saying that Joe Biden wasn't going to pardon Hunter, which we all believed wasn't going to be the case.
The presidential promise to put the law before family.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not wipe away the decision of 12 of his son's peers.
Was asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Let's wait and see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but I mean, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal. And he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial. What we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, again, it's all about the contrast.
President Biden saying, I will respect whatever this jury decides versus right. Donald Trump after he was convicted on 34 counts, saying the entire system is rigged against him.
Their latest attack has been
it's like they actually believed him. That's the crazy. Either they're pretending here or they actually believed him. They fully, some of them fully, wholeheartedly believed him, which is crazy because I would have never believed him. I don't care who you are. I would have never believed him. What? Come on. Really?
Joe Biden has politicized and weaponized the DOJ, right? That was the whole argument around Donald Trump's conviction. And this week, of course, Hunter Biden was found guilty. And Joe Biden has very clearly said he would not pardon his son. He would not commute his sentence. How stark is this difference? I mean, how can Republicans keep making this argument now that Joe Biden has really put it out there?
This is really sad because you know what would have happened? This is what the plan was. Trump would have been locked up in jail. They would have nominated Nikki Haley. Biden would have easily beat Nikki Haley. And Biden would have been like, oh, see, there's no reason to pardon my son. You see, the justice system work as planned. Literally. That's literally what would have happened. And he would have pardoned him in the second term. He would have just pardoned him in the second term. That's what was going to happen, which is so sad. That's literally what was going to happen. That is so sad. That is so sad. And this happened right after Kash Patel became the nominee for FBI director. By the way, this happened the day after Trump announced it, which is hilarious. And now that Biden did this, now Trump has the excuse to pardon all January 6th defendants, which is something that has been pretty controversial, but I've kind of stated my position on this. And if I haven't stated it on the record here, I'm going to say it that all January 6th defendants must be pardoned so that Trump is not prosecuting his own political prisoners, which people may say, oh, but what if somebody committed a violent crime? What if somebody did this, or that? And it's like, there are people like in the BLM riots, Antifa, who did way worse and got off with nothing, got off on bail. They got off completely. And they've done much worse things. There is probably like 3 or 4 people who may have pushed somebody. That the only person who died was Ashley Babbitt. That's the only person who passed away. The only person that was hurt, which was a Trump supporter who was peacefully protesting. So no police officer was hurt. In fact, they let everybody in. So the fact that now that Biden did this, it's going to make it a lot easier for Trump to go ahead and carry out his steps. So let's keep going here.
Where's Hunter? And he stood there in a courtroom, flanked by his family, and he's accepted his sentence.
He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, if you want to know if he believes it, you could actually see what is happening with his own son.
The president, Anderson, has been really clear that he is going to accept the outcome of the trial no matter what happens.
So Joe Biden's gotten asked about, talking about law and order. He's gotten asked if he would pardon his son. He has said no. On the other side, you've got Donald Trump, who has said that he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. Yeah. They're not even his sons. They're just sons of bitches.
Washington said, I am not running again because he understood.
Oh, man, this is so funny, dude. But guys, you get the point, right? Like, this is the whole point. The whole point is that the media lied about it. Biden lied to everybody's faces saying he wasn't going to pardon Hunter. And then now they're pretending like, oh, actually, the circumstances are different. David Pacman, Kyle Kalinske, Brian Tiracola, all these people, Harry Sisson, they're all like, oh, yeah, perfectly fine. Brooklyn Dad, that guy on X, everybody, no, it's fine. He can pardon whoever he wants. No one's above the law. Joe Biden was actually community noted. He got community noted, which was hilarious, on his post saying no one is above the law on May 31st or the 30th. I'm not sure what day it was. But yeah, so Biden said no one was above the law, but except for his son, apparently. And so now we're going to be going on to the next topic, which is about Democrats being an absolute shambles. And I'm going to be starting with this clip. With this Democrat mega donor talking about Barron Trump and how his involvement in the Trump campaign actually made a huge difference in Trump winning the presidency. So we're going to go ahead and also play this as well.
Well, my reaction is, she thinks she's Obama. She goes to Hawaii because Obama goes to Hawaii. She started talking like Obama, imitating Obama. She is not Barack Obama. She has no talent. She can never run for president again. She ran once and got 0 delegates. She got 8% of California. I begged them not to put her up. She was going to be tethered to Biden no matter what. That was a zero-sum game for her. But she thought that all these votes were for her. They were not. The votes that she got were people voting against Trump. And the votes that Trump got were the people voting for Trump. What the Harris campaign should have done, instead of avoiding Joe Rogan and podcasts, it turns out that Barron Trump, who looks like a runway model, was telling his father, you need to go on podcasts. You need to go on Joe Rogan. He was 3 hours late to a rally because he was doing Joe Rogan because that was so important. So Barron Trump is a lot smarter than everybody in the Harris. They said they didn't go on Joe Rogan, the progressives around her. You heard what Carmel said. The progressives didn't want to go on Joe Rogan. Look, if I'm running, I'm going on Joe Rogan. I'm living on Fox. That's how you change minds. They played hide the ball. They lost badly. She should go away and never, ever come back. She spent almost $2 billion. They're raising money this week to pay off the debt. If you can't run your campaign, you damn sure can't run the country.
Yeah, guys, they're like in debt, like $20 million. So think about it. They spent $1.5 billion and they're $20 million in debt. Like, how do you blow through $1.5 billion in like 2 months, essentially? Because they probably spent like a month raising a lot of that money. How did that happen? How did that possibly happen? That is absolutely insane. That's crazy. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And so now we got this here. So, this guy, we should never show her face ever again. She shouldn't come out. Well, too bad for him. We have a new 2020 Democrat primary poll, and Kamala's ahead by like 30 points. This was done November 19th at 9:15 a.m. and it was just released. And yep, there it is. She's up by like 30-something points in the Democrat primary. Now, again, this is also, name recognition, a lot of name ID stuff, like name recognition. You also have the fact that their election just happened, so a lot of people just recently voted for her. But this is pretty concerning because the fact that she didn't go down to like 5% afterwards means that the base doesn't really have anybody except her. Like if the base kind of let her go already, they would already kind of be evenly split between a lot of people, but they're not. They're just here, which is absolutely insane. And if they were to go through with a renomination of Kamala, let's say it's JD versus Kamala. If this were to happen, this would be a disaster for them because JD would be even much more of a formidable opponent against somebody like a Harris. Rerunning Harris again is definitely not going to have Democrats excited. She'd probably have to pick a new running mate more than likely. And so that's going to be something that's going to be a major problem as well. And states like Alaska would be in that safe Republican column, plus 10. States like Florida, Texas, Ohio, all of these would be plus 10 for JD. I would even say that in this kind of scenario, I think that JD would probably kind of go back and really kind of pick up some votes in some of these Rust Belt, some of the Sun Belt states. I think he'd win Georgia by like 6, win North Carolina by 7. I think he wins Arizona by like 8 or 9 points. I think he wins Nevada by like about 5 or 6 points. I think in Wisconsin, I think he wins Wisconsin by like 3. I think he wins Michigan by like about 3 or 4. I think he wins Pennsylvania by a similar margin. So he does like 3 to 4 points in the Rust Belt in all the states there. He has even more appeal there than somebody like a Donald Trump would. Colorado, I think, would be under 10. It'd be like an 8 or 9 point win in this scenario. A lot of the Northeast would still be voting Democrat, but you'd have like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware all be within 10 points. New York would be within 10. Illinois would be within 10. Maine at large, I think, would honestly be a lean margin for Kamala Harris. I think that would be really close. And I think New Mexico would be competitive. Hawaii, I think, would end up probably still being safe, give or take. Virginia would end up being pretty close. And I think a state like Minnesota in this scenario may not flip, but it would be really close. And New Jersey, I think, would kind of be on the brink of flipping. New Hampshire and Nebraska second, I think, would be the places that maybe flip. Maybe Nebraska second doesn't flip. But this effectively would be my map for that election, because really, when you renominate a losing candidate like that, especially that she hasn't even won an election yet, that is really, really concerning for the base. And I think somebody like JD Vance would be able to turn out a lot of low propensity voters and also expand the coalition of the Republican Party as well. And so that's why I think a map like this would actually be fairly reasonable. I think New Hampshire and Nebraska second, and this one would basically be like pure toss-ups at this point. And so that's it for that. And you see here comparing the maps, this is the 2024 map. So Trump would obviously be, and if we put this at like the safest plus 10, you're going to see here, like Trump would get Illinois and New York under 10 points. He'd get Connecticut, Rhode Island to Delaware much closer. New York would probably be like a 7-point win for Harris. I'd say Illinois would even be like 5 or 6. I wouldn't even be surprised if that state were to somehow be lean in that cycle either. I think a Colorado would probably end up being in that column as well. I think that would also be pretty concerning for Kamala Harris. I think it'd be under 10 points in this case. I think Virginia would be like a 2 to 3 point win for Harris. Like, I just think she would lose with the base like entirely. And so that is really a big problem for her coming in 2028 if decide to renominate her for whatever reason. And then we have here pretty much the second and last topic. We have here Trump says Meta's CEO Mark Zuckerberg called him after the assassination attempt and said he isn't going to support a Democrat and apologized for Facebook and Instagram censoring the iconic photos of him with his fist raised. So let's play the clip.
Wasn't altered. At first they said it was altered, and then they said no, it was a bug.
So Mark Zuckerberg.
My point is these companies would not allow any information out about what happened.
So Mark Zuckerberg called me. First of all, he called me a few times. He called me after the event, and he said that was really amazing. It was very brave, and and he actually announced he's not going to support a Democrat because he can't, because he respected me for what I did that day. I think what I did maybe was to me, it was a normal response. But I was called by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, the day before, on this same subject. And he actually apologized. He said they made a mistake, et cetera, and they're correcting the mistake. Google, nobody called from Google. One of the things, like doing a show like yours, your show, you see it on Fox, but where you really see it is all over the place. They take clips of your show that you're doing right now with me, and if I do a good job, they're going to vote for me. They're going to vote for me because it's not just on Fox. It's on Fox is a smaller part of it. You're on all over those little beautiful cell phones. You're all over the place. You have a product. You have a great product. You have a great brand. So you have to get out. You have to get out. You have to do things like your show and other shows. And Google has been very bad. They've been very irresponsible. And I have a feeling that Google is going to be close to shutdown because I don't think Congress is going to take it. I really don't think so. Google has to be careful. Now, I will say this. I believe Mark Zuckerberg, he called me a lot. They are working on, and I think they fixed it.
But what?
And he's not doing what he did 4 years ago with the $500 million, I don't believe.
So, yeah, that's the clip of Trump reacting to that. And this is the post that Eric Daugherty has on his X. Breaking: Mark Zuckerberg wants to have an active role in President Trump's tech policies. The two recently met at Mar-a-Lago. Should Trump let him in? To be honest with you guys, I don't even think he should let him in. That 2020 move that he made when he didn't have that curly hair and he gave $500 million to Dominion and the Democrats, that was really sus to me, in my opinion. Very, very suspicious activity. Here's another video of Stephen Miller talking about Mark Zuckerberg wanting to meet with Trump. So we're going to play this clip too.
Reporting that Mark Zuckerberg was at Mar-a-Lago today meeting with President Trump. Can you confirm that?
Yes, that's correct. And Mark Zuckerberg has been very clear about his desire to be a supporter of and a participant in this change that we're seeing all around America, all around the world with this reform movement that Donald Trump is leading. Mark Zuckerberg, like so many business leaders, understand that President Trump is an agent of change, an agent of prosperity.
Right.
And so business leaders, CEOs everywhere, they want to be an element, a supporter, a booster of making our economy prosperous, delivering for American workers, and making sure that America is the most powerful, wealthiest, freest nation on the face of the earth. So we'll see what comes of that. And Mark, obviously, he has his own interests, and he has his own company, and he has his own agenda, but he's made clear that he wants to support the national renewal of America under President Trump's leadership.
Good. It's good for the president. He turned the page with some talk show hosts on another channel, and he might be maybe getting over the fact that Zuckerbucks really impacted the 2020 election in the battleground areas. So we'll.
So that's the clip of Stephen Miller also talking about it too. My opinion, they shouldn't be letting him in at all. I honestly think it would be a really bad idea if they did that. And so, guys, the bonus last topic of the stream is going to be me reacting to LTE's presidential election prediction. As you all know, I was a lot more accurate than most people. Kind of overestimated Trump in Minnesota and New Hampshire, had them going red, but basically within the margin of error. They were within like 3 or 4 points of the margin that I had. So it's not like I was abysmally off. I predicted Trump was going to win the popular vote. I said he was going to the entire time. I also had him winning 312 at a minimum. I said he was going to be winning 312 electoral college votes, and that was pretty much what ended up happening. And so let's go ahead and watch LTE's election prediction. So this is LTE, Let's Talk Elections, or Let's Cope Elections, as I call them. So we're going to be going ahead and reacting to his election prediction video he put out before the election. I'm going to be giving some commentary on it as well. But before we go ahead and do that, let's actually go ahead and go on a small break really quick. So I will go ahead and play this 30-second timer, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. So we're going to be watching Let's Talk Elections presidential election prediction from a couple weeks back, and we're going to kind of be critiquing his takes on this election.
Pretty settled. 52 to 48. Republicans decisively
He had
win
Ohio,
back
Tennessee
Senate control.
red. Oh man.
So, sigh, catch your breath. We're back to a blank map. 538 electoral votes that are going to be the most important part of this election. Throw out the governor elections, throw out the House elections, throw out the Senate elections. Obviously, massive implications on that front. But what the focus is for the next segment of this video, the presidential election. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have done a really good job at this campaign. I want to start off by saying that I do think...
Oh man, this guy already he just oh man, guys. It's incredible. It really is. It's it's incredible. It's so sad, guys. Literally this guy worked for the Biden-Harris campaign, essentially. He worked for them. He did modeling for them. He was one of the people behind the Kamala HQ page on TikTok and on X. It's honestly really sad that this guy was in charge of a lot of the things that they were running on both campaigns. It's pretty hilarious. And he got to show a little bit more of his fruity side when Kamala ended up becoming the nominee. So we're going to go ahead and keep playing now. Let's go ahead.
In terms of who has run a better campaign, although the results may show something different on election day, Kamala Harris, given that she has had less than 110 days to turn nothing into something, and Tim Walz, who joined the ticket in August, the Democratic ticket has rebounded from a point where they were destined for the worst Democratic defeat of the 21st century to potentially a really strong showing of the 21st century.
Yeah, but this is the reason why he can say that is because his people at the DNC let him started showing that Biden was going to lose after the debate because they gave the green light to everybody to start trashing Biden after the debate. That's how you know that this is all coordinated together.
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, on the other hand, I think for a while ran a really good campaign leading up until the RNC. I think arguably leading up until Kamala Harris entered into the race. I think at that point in time, we were seeing Donald Trump actually start to shift his messaging, but also just perform better amongst the American electorate. Now, a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that President Joe Biden was not polling well amongst the public. It wasn't just Donald Trump doing well. It was Joe Biden not doing well. But it has to be said that over the past 3 months, I have been less than impressed by the campaign that Donald Trump has ran, and it's for a variety of different reasons, which I'll tell you right now.
Oh, he was less than impressed. Wow. I wonder what he's got to say.
One, in terms of message control, Donald Trump, although he started his career, and political career rather, with all of these outlandish claims and all of these more extreme takes that a lot of Americans actually did very much agree with and do very much agree with.
Wow.
Don't get lost on that. Donald Trump is not his own candidate. He is propelled and propped up by around half the country. That matters in an election where you need to win more than half the country.
The only thing he
It's
said
all
that's
about winning on those margins. Donald Trump started off by being this candidate that right before an election got in line. In 2016, you can watch it in the rallies. The rhetoric is entirely different than just weeks prior. Why? Because his campaign consultants and his managers and the people who surrounded himself by said, you need to focus on yourself and draw a juxtaposition between you and Hillary Clinton in a way that isn't she's smart and you look ignorant. It needs to be that Donald Trump speaks from a point of challenging the status quo. And in 2016, he did that right. The momentum was on his side. The James Comey letter had just dropped. Everything was moving in favor of the former president. And although he did, in quote unquote, barely win the election, he still won the election. In 2020.
Okay, well, the momentum was on his side this time too. So I don't understand. What's his thing here? What's his catch?
Things got a bit different. Donald Trump tried a new style of campaign. He campaigned on COVID. He campaigned on misinformation surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. He very much was building up his candidacy off of even more of a personality than 2016. It didn't work. In 2024, I think what we have seen from Donald Trump is that he's not playing by the book that won in 2016. And he's not even playing by the book that got him close to winning in 20.
What? He played the book harder this time than last time, bro. This guy, man. Oh, man. This guy's hilarious. Like, his VP pick was completely different. Not establishment at all. The way they were attacking him in the media for like a month straight, that's how you knew it was a good pick. Oh, man. This guy. Oh, man. This guy. This is so funny, man. This guy completely just went off the walls, dude. Hilarious.
2020. The picks like JD Vance and making decisions about how you're holding your rallies, who you're inviting to your rallies, not condemning hate speech at your rallies, does damage to his candidacy. Because there are also a new wave of young voters that grew up in the day and age where they were in middle and high school. I'm one of those people where I was in middle school when Donald Trump was elected president. I am now voting for the first time in my first presidential election.
Me too.
I voted in the midterms, but this is my first presidential election. And I think for a while, a lot of people understood that in 16, what was brought up then didn't seem to matter as much to the electorate. A lot of these things matter now. And when Donald Trump makes the more outlandish claims and puts himself back in the spotlight in a very negative way, although he has this idea that all press is good press, at some point you get to a point of no return. For a lot of voters, that was January 6th, where there was nothing Donald Trump could ever do.
Oh my God, bro. This guy actually thinks that, oh man, this guy really thought that was an important issue. Oh, this is hilarious, man.
To win their vote over. Granted, 95% of them were already going to vote for the Democrats in the future elections regardless. But it's about that 5%. And should Donald Trump lose the election by 2,000 votes in a swing state, 5,000 votes across 3 swing states,
man.
there are going to be a lot of questions about, well, should that Madison Square Garden rally have actually happened? Should we have listened to the former president in allowing him to maintain a presence on Twitter and Truth Social? These will be questions that will be unpacked and unearthed.
Oh, yeah.
I think Kamala Harris, too, given that she was given a campaign that was seemingly going to lose, easily going to lose, and turning it into something where you are now going to either be the favorite or close to being the favorite makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference and really shows that Kamala Harris has done something that many Democrats could not have. And that was come very close to winning an election and potentially even win a presidential election. And so, as we go through the map here and as we get through this electoral college victory for either side of the aisle, I just want that point to be made because I do think it makes a difference as to how candidates run their races, as to how candidates win and lose elections, because it makes a difference in future ones, just as it is making a difference in this cycle. But to not waste any time, let's start by characterizing all of the safe Republican states and then move into the safe Democratic states. Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, North and South Dakota.
What? Hold
These are
on,
all
hold on.
states
No,
that
no,
are
no, no, stop. He already skipped Montana? Oh, God. Oh, man, this is... Oh, man, I can't wait to watch the rest of this.
If for the Republican Party. Nebraska at large, Nebraska's 3rd district, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, Missouri. We'll see here. Definitely going to be interesting, or not Missouri, Indiana, Missouri. I'm going to go ahead and hold on this front.
Are you serious? There's no way. Are you kidding me? He had Indiana. He actually had to sit there and generally think, oh, is Indiana going to be safer? Oh, man. He actually gave it he actually put his brain cells to work to decide whether or not Indiana was going to be safe red or not. Oh, man, this is hilarious. Oh, I can't wait.
Republicans are at roughly 81 electoral votes that we consider to be safe at
Like,
this
just
exact moment. Now,
guys,
you might be shocked to see that.
This guy never uses Atlas Intel, Rasmussen reports. He never even pulled up any of the RCP aggregate. Like, nothing of that. Like, nothing. He didn't pull up any of the polling websites. He didn't do any of that. He's just straight, doing this map off of pure feelings.
But I want us to also remember, and I should have mentioned this earlier on, I am now thinking from the point and lens of all this new Midwestern data that shows that there has been some minimal bleeding from the Trump side. Keep in mind, I do my ratings based on margins. They are not based on percent.
This is
chance of
hilarious.
victory.
Like, bro, like this guy didn't check Real Clear Politics or something. He just didn't look at Real Clear Politics or is ignoring it. But this minimal one. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
They are based on margins. So
funny.
If Kamala Harris wins a state like New York by 14.9, it's a likely state, no matter how much Democrats knew they were going to win by, or how much we know Democrats are going to win by, with a chance of victory. That's why we don't have Indiana or Missouri or Kansas or Montana as safe Democratic states.
I could have bet on those states being plus 15. Like, seriously?
States were all on the verge of being likely red in 2020. And I think because we have seen some movement in Midwestern areas, movement because of abortion bans, I do think, especially that Kamala Harris has grown that support amongst white college.
2022. Oh, the election's going to be just like the midterms. Really? Oh, man. This
Educated
guy.
voters, it will be
What a
enough
guy,
to
man.
nudge some of these states into being like
Again,
red states.
guys,
So
if
you're not
you would have seen in the accurate data that abortion was like the number one issue, I would be saying something different. I would be saying, look, guys, I don't agree with how people are voting on the abortion issue, but it is the number one issue. And if the Democrats winning on the number one issue of being abortion by and it's like 30%, 40%, the top issue, clearly the Democrats going to do well. Like, that's not out of the question either. But to act like an issue that was like 10% or less of the number one issue of the electorate is going to sway the election like that is freaking laughable. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
If you're a Republican looking at the 81 number, freaking out, like, where do you go from here? No, right? Where do we go from here? There are a lot of states to go from here if you're looking for a pathway to 270. So keep that in mind.
Oh, man.
Republicans, though, 81 safe states, 81 safe electoral votes. Let's move over to the Democratic side. Now, they have a good amount of safe states, too. They have Washington, Oregon, California, which pretty much completely gets rid of that Republican lead or advantage. Hawaii there, Illinois there, Maryland, shout out Maryland again, Delaware, New Jersey, New York.
New Jersey, he didn't even say anything. He didn't even give it a thought. He just went deep blue. Oh, man, this is so funny, guys. I want you to think about this. Oh, this is great. Hold on. I gotta fix this. This is great. This is absolutely hilarious. He didn't even give it a second thought. New York, oh, yes, it's safe Democrat. No question. Illinois, oh, safe Democrat. Oh, my God. That means he's by a bare minimum is off in New Jersey by a minimum of 10 points. This is hilarious. This is so funny.
Massachusetts, and this is where Vermont comes in, District of Columbia, Maine's 1st District. These are all safe for the Democratic Party. So where does it put them? Well, roughly 100 electoral votes more than Republicans. But to not also harp too much on the likely states, we can characterize those now because they're states that we know are just going to be slightly under that 15-point margin, but Republicans are going to win regardless. This includes states like Kansas, Montana, Missouri, Indiana, South Carolina, Alaska, Nebraska's 1st district. Take a look at 2020 result if you want to know what I mean about that. But it's going to be likely.
I mean, you got Nebraska's 1st, right?
Republican Party, Nebraska's 1st, and Ohio and Florida. Now, this is where you start to see the map build out and Maine.
He had to think about it. He was like, am I going to put Florida lean? He was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to catch some flack in the comments. I'll just put it likely hard because, whatever. Oh, man, this is hilarious. Yeah, remember, he didn't even say the margin. He didn't even say what his Florida margin at all.
I don't know why I'm forgetting on that front. But this is where you start to see the map build out to a much more competitive lines. Democrats at 181, Republicans at 173. They win Ohio and Florida, 2 states that Democrats, in theory, would love to win, have won in the past, will not win this cycle no matter how hard they try. These states are going to be solid for the GOP. Okay, Republicans are going to win these states.
What about Iowa and Texas?
Alaska, I do think we might see a surprise out of that state. It's going to narrow up. Maine's 2nd district is going to be, I think, roughly on par with what it was in 2020. But overall here, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance at 173 electoral votes. Now, Democrats have their own end of likely states. Colorado, New Mexico.
Wait, hold on. There's no way. There's no way he didn't just not fill in Texas and Iowa. What is he doing? What is bro cooking right now?
Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine at large, Minnesota, and Nebraska's 2nd district are all what we consider to be likely Democratic states. So these are the states that Democrats can pretty much rely on to carry them closer to the 270 electoral vote number. But it isn't necessarily a state that is solid enough to be solid,
and New Hampshire
right? These states could still, in theory, flip to the GOP. They could arguably be a lot closer than what a state like California might be, which would narrow down from 27 to 25 if it's a bad situation for Democrats. And so Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, and New Hampshire and Maine at large, and Nebraska's 2nd, all districts and states the Democrats can rely on for this cycle. So now we get to the final states here. The final battleground states. Now, I'm going to get things out of the way in saying that Iowa is a state that I think because of that ancestral...
Are you kidding me? Oh, don't tell me. Do not tell me he's gonna say Ann Seltzer. Don't do it, please. Don't.
Poll. I know I sound crazy. I do think it's going to be about Trump. Iowa is a state that I think because of that Ann Seltzer poll, I know I sound crazy. I do think
Oh my God, there's no way. Are you serious? Oh no, what is it?
it's going to be about Trump plus 4. I think
Guys, it was Trump plus 13. It was Trump plus 13, guys. This is actually crazy. He was off by like 9 points in Iowa. Dude, this is ridiculous, man. Oh my God.
given that we've seen a lot of
Wow.
surge in women registration across the state, combined with the fact, or
This
enthusiasm
is
rather,
insane.
but combined with the fact that the abortion ban that's in the state might actually localize a big reason why Kamala Harris is doing better in this state in comparison to some other battlegrounds, is that Iowa has a very restrictive 6-week abortion ban that many voters disagree with. And because so many Republicans in Congress on the presidential level, or at least those advising on the presidential level and across the state have come out in support of this 6-week abortion ban, it arguably is seen as far too extreme by even some Republicans, and it's doing damage to the party's perception and how voters perceive candidates that align with it. And so Iowa right now is a lean Republican state, putting Republicans at 179. The next state I would consider to be a lean Republican state is going to be the state of Texas, which I've wavered back and forth between making it likely and making it lean. I don't think Allred will be outrunning Kamala Harris.
Bro, there is no way. He said I had to think about Iowa being lean R. He had to think about Iowa being lean R and likely R. Wow. He had to think about it. Dude, this is so funny, man. This is hilarious. This is the funniest thing ever. This is hilarious, guys.
By a massive amount to a point where they would share different characterizations. I think Texas is at a point where it's going to be lean Republican. Trump will probably win the state by 4 points, 4.5%.
It was Trump plus 14. It was literally Trump plus 14. He was off by 10 points in the state. Bro, he saw this and lost his brain. He probably saw this map and absolutely lost his mind. He must have been like, damn. Dude, he literally got it 10 points wrong. Oh my God. Let me change the colors just so like you can see how he's doing it based on the likely colors. But that's the colors. This is the real map, and this is his. This is the real map, and this is his map. Like, are you serious? Are you for real? This is crazy. This is so off. It's like not even close. He hasn't posted in like 3 weeks, by the way.
Improvement for Democrats, but not enough. Not enough yet to get them to the presidential victory in Texas. But that does boost Donald Trump with its 40 electoral votes to 219.
Not enough yet, guys.
Tim Walz's 226.
Oh, wow.
So now it comes down to the final remaining 7 toss-up states. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. Democrats are in a really tricky position because they have many pathways to 270, but it arguably means that Republicans do too. So to kick things off, we only have one state that I feel comfortable as of today characterizing as lean for either side of the aisle, and that is for the Democrats in the state of Michigan, which I would consider to be a lean.
Oh man, bro, this guy, man, this guy. It was a 1.5 point win for Trump, and he hasn't leaned. That means he was like bare minimum. He's like bare minimum, like 2.5 points off in the state, bare minimum. Because I don't think he specifies this. I don't think he specifies the margin, but bare minimum, he's off by like 2.5 points in the state. This is crazy.
In Democratic state. So now we're down to tilt states. States that are decided.
He hasn't even filled it. Oh man, he hasn't even filled in Arizona. Oh man, this guy, man. Wow, this guy. He hasn't even filled in Arizona, guys. Arizona was a 5.5 point win for Trump, while all the other states were lean R until R in Wisconsin. This is ridiculous. Holy moly, this is ridiculous. Wow, this is insane.
By less than 1%. Kamala Harris wins the state by 0.0001. That's tilt. Wins it by 0.9. That's tilt. All it matters is that it's under a point and that it goes to a candidate. I don't like to leave toss-ups. I don't like to leave uncertainty in my election predictions because I think it's wrong. I think it misleads people who are looking to see a conclusive, definitive answer as to what I think we will see.
Oh, don't worry. When I get national attention and stuff, and I get to talk about other people in the space, you won't be getting any national attention. I mean, yeah, you'll be getting some, but people will be going to your comment section and laughing at you, and will be watching my videos instead.
In the election. Now I'm going to start messing around with the map here so you can get a better indication.
Guys, get a mess around with it, guys.
Based on some of the numbers we're seeing out of Arizona, I do think that Donald Trump wins the state of Arizona by a very narrow amount. I think it's going to shift minimally from 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Democrats are really going to try to turn up the base there, though Republicans are going to do it too, and they're doing it well. Arizona is the state that's going to go to Donald Trump. That's the first flip of the evening from blue to red. Still, it's going to be interesting to watch. It might not. It may go. I don't know. As of right now, though, I do give Donald Trump the upper hand in the state of Arizona. So this puts him at 230 electoral votes. I think we've seen some bleeding amongst Latino voters, voters who care heavily about the southern border, where we have not seen Kamala Harris rebound and regain on that issue in a way that would be
contradicting himself, because if you believe that, then why is Texas lean R? This guy just has no idea how these states vote. He has no clue. No clue. He has no idea how these states vote. This is ridiculous, guys. This is actually hilarious. Oh, man.
He's substantive enough to say that it is a non-issue in Arizona. It absolutely is an issue, a very important one to many voters there as a border state. That makes a difference, and it shifts the state ultimately to Donald Trump.
Oh, man.
On the contrast, though, I think that Kamala Harris wins the state of Nevada by a tilt margin. I trust John Ralston. I also think looking at some of the early...
He brought up John Ralston. Oh, this guy, bro. This guy's cooked, man. This guy's cooked, bro. He put tilt blue in Nevada because of John Ralston. For you guys who don't know, John Ralston's like a forecaster in Nevada. And he like always overestimates the Democrats by like 2 or 3 points. Like literally, if you get all his predictions and you look at every single prediction, just add 3 points to the Republican, and that's the result of the election. I'm not even kidding. You can literally do the math for every single prediction he gives. Whatever he says it is, add 3 points to it for the Republican, and that's the margin in the state. I'm being so serious. It's hilarious. And it happened again this year. Trump won it by 3.1. Oh, man.
Early voting numbers today. Democrats are doing really well in terms of that early voting number. Really well.
Really? Wow. They're behind by 44,000 votes in the early, but wow, they're doing so great. Guys, look at this. Look at how great look at how great the Democrats were doing in Nevada, man. Look at that map. They were doing so well. Look at that. Wow. Clark County +3 for Harris. Dude, they're knocking it out of the park. It's not like Biden won it by 9 or anything like that. Totally didn't win by 9 points. Oh, man, this is so funny, dude. This guy is hilarious. This guy is so funny. I can't wait to react to his election prediction videos in the future. This is so funny.
And so if that holds, Democrats actually might win by more than a tilt margin. But as of right now, I can see that, putting Kamala Harris ahead by roughly half a point, as John Ralston suggests.
Wow.
So Kamala Harris 247, Donald Trump 230.
Wow.
Now it comes down to these 4 states on this eastern side of the United States: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now, I think based on the 2020 election result and some of the data points we're seeing out of North Carolina, Donald Trump holds a very narrow advantage, but I could see Kamala Harris actually winning this state. It's going to be.
Oh, yeah, I could see her winning it. Like, this guy's, I understand it now. I could see it. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I wonder what vision he saw. Well, the North Carolina, for me, that was off the board for her. I didn't think she could win North Carolina at all. Not even close.
I think it's going to be closer than it was in 2020. I think Democrats have invested a lot more in the state than they did in 2020. Republicans have too, which shows signs that their internal numbers probably aren't as pretty as they seem externally. But North Carolina is still a Republican state, and I do think Donald Trump holds the narrow advantage at 246 electoral votes, with its 16 electoral votes in its column. But this is where things might get a bit more controversial. I think North Carolina will go red, but this is the big one. I think Georgia is going to go red. And I know you might be shocked, and I could be very well wrong. That is the way these things are. All of these predictions are less than a point, meaning they're well within the margin of error.
Wow. So he didn't think that lean Iowa are, lean Texas are, he didn't, safe New Jersey. Those margins, they're so big. There's no way I can be wrong. Oh man, this guy was worried about his till margins. Oh, dude, that was the least of his problems. this was the least of his problems. The tilt states, these were the least of his problems. He had way bigger problems to deal with.
I would call it blue very narrowly. These turnout numbers are looking very promising for Democrats. I do think we're at a point where Kamala Harris could narrowly get across the finish line, just like Biden did. Not in Arizona, but in Georgia right now. And it could be enough to give her the 16 electoral votes that are crucial in this battleground state. So, final two states. I love saying the word so, but I'll stop because you're probably getting annoyed. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Both of them, I think, will vote together with Michigan, but not share the same characterization in terms of margin, but will share the same victor. And that I do believe today, November 5th, 2024, in contrast with my prediction 2 weeks ago giving Donald Trump the victory, I think Kamala Harris wins the election. A combination of factors have led to states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan having increased enthusiasm on the Democratic side in this final week.
Increased enthusiasm. All that early voting. Oh, man. The early voting, dude, look at the enthusiasm for Democrats. There's totally not like 1.1 million of them missing. Like, bro, are you serious? Like, you actually got to be kidding me. There's no way. This guy didn't pull up RCP once. He doesn't have his own model. He didn't pull up any of the accurate polling. Doesn't mention Rasmussen or Intel Alice or Richard the Bears, the People's Pundit, not one time in any of his videos. Not one time. Not once. Not a single time has he said anything. Not once. Not one time has he said something about them. Absolutely incredible. This is actually crazy.
People who are engaged and excited to turn out and vote. Higher return numbers from Democrats as we've gotten closer to the election, and more anticipation that Democrats will in fact be voting on election day in numbers that have not been seen before. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Nevada. All states I think Kamala Harris will win by less than a point. I would not be shocked if Donald Trump won. But I think, hold me to it today, Kamala Harris wins them. On the flip side, Donald Trump, I think, wins North Carolina and Arizona. Same story. Because they're less than a point, I feel confident enough to say that I think they could go to Kamala Harris too. But Donald Trump holds the narrow advantage. Final map here being 292 to 246 feels very weird and very reminiscent of the 2020 election. Maybe just goes to show not much has actually changed since the last cycle. Pennsylvania's got
not much has changed, dude. This guy, man. This guy. What a piece of work.
Gotten closer. North Carolina has gotten closer. Georgia has gotten better for Democrats. Iowa's gotten worse for Republicans. It's an interesting map here because the top line number is worse than Biden's victory in 2020, but in a way is arguably more impressive for Kamala Harris given the circumstances and the cards she was dealt. So the final map here, a flip in Arizona. Nothing else changes, shockingly or not shockingly. Donald Trump at 246, Kamala Harris at 292. The Senate map, Republicans at 52, Democrats at 48. And the governor map, Republicans at 8.
This is his
Democrat
decent map, but it's because he's a hack. This is the only reason he had it like this. And in New Hampshire, Iota or whatever her name is, won by like 9 or 10 points, which is what I had her winning by. Yes, guys, in North Carolina, I said Mark Robinson was going to win. I said it, and I got it massively wrong because I thought the polling was going to be wrong. And I thought North Carolina was going to be Trump +8 instead of Trump +3. That's my bad take. But you see, I had one bad take. One horrible bad take. One. Not 20 of them like this guy had. Not 20 like this guy had. Insane. This is hilarious. Hilarious.
At 3. And so again, rounding out this video as I did in the beginning, make sure to check out ltelections.com. Check it out. It's ran by a phenomenal team. They do a great job. They have a great Discord server for you to join if you're interested. Discord.gg/LTE or discord.com/invites.
What a piece of work, guys. That was a fun video to react to. But all right, guys, that's pretty much it for today's stream. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe. If you want more content just like this, make sure to follow me on X in the description down below. And anybody who's watching on X, guys, come ahead and come subscribe to the YouTube channel. We definitely need some new subscribers, so anything would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to be uploading a lot more, trying to kind of work out my schedule and whatnot, but I will be seeing you guys very soon. Remember, guys, I am going to AmFest in Arizona on December 19th through the 22nd. I will be there in person as a special guest in Arizona for AmFest, which is hosted by Charlie Kirk. TPUSA, TP Action. I'm also going to be running for student government president at the University of Central Florida next semester. So you guys will also be seeing a lot of content about that as well. 2025 is going to be the year of On Point Politics. So guys, stay tuned, follow up, make sure to check the channel daily for any new uploads. Stay consistent, have your notifications on, and I will be seeing you guys very, very soon.